morning. I would like to take the time to introduce you to three of our amazing panelists. Right now, we're going to break into a panel discussion, and the theme is what does embrace, empower, and embody mean to you? Now, we have Honorable George Holman. George Holman, if you can wave. Uh, George is the Clarkstown supervisor in Rockland County. And we also have Carrie Steindorf. She's the school health coordinator at the Rockland County Department of Health. And we have Alex Cabral, founder of Success in Motion for You LLC. Because we decided to make the Parent and Youth Conference virtually, due to the political climate, we wanted to make sure we kept our families safe as well as students. The panel discussion is going to be different. It's not going to be going from one question to each of the three panelists. It's actually going to be one panelist at a time. So if you indulge me in the style in doing this so that we can be able to hear well. So at this time, the first one that will be going first is Honorable George Holman. George Holman.
Thank you for having me this morning. Delighted to be here. Everybody can hear me and see me? Great. So, I go back with Evelyn, not nearly as far as with her compadre, but I think about it. Evelyn and I were on the Martin Luther King Jr. board together, probably 20 years ago, and we got to know each other a bit back then. And I'm so delighted to be able to support her in her work with Tender Steps, and she's very inspirational. I think she's one of the heroes up here in Rockland County. Just very, very quickly, for those that don't know much about me or about the town of Clarkstown, I'll be very quick. The town of Clarkstown is in New York State. About half the people live in towns and villages. The other half live in cities. The town of Clarkstown is the 9th largest town by population out of 932 in all of New York State. We have about 87,000 people. I've been the town supervisor now for the past 10 years. Hard to believe it's actually 10 years. And I came into government, had been, involved prior to being supervisor as a councilman, but prior to that was involved with the planning board. But I spent 21 years working in the field of disabilities, working with children and adults with developmental and other disabilities. As an administrator, I actually started my career off at the Catholic Guardian Society, as an assistant manager of a large 20-bed ICF for serving folks that were with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And it was actually a Lacombe Avenue. Loved that area, down in the Soundview section of the South Bronx. I moved on from that to working with Abbott House. I became the director of services for their program serving the developmentally disabled, and actually built a lot of programs. Abbott House is actually a foster care agency that had a small program for services with people with developmental disabilities. And when I took over, they had about 6 group homes. After about 6 years, we tripled the size of the program, expanded services further into the city, up into Westchester County, into Rockland County as well. I went from there to Camp Venture as the COO, and served as the COO Camp Venture for about 5 years, and then eventually went on to the Rockland Independent Living Center, now Bridges, which is the Independent Living Center, which serve people with all of all needs and all abilities. I could tell you that as I looked at these questions and how we can really embrace challenges, I thought about some of the risks and challenges that I had to take within my own career. Also, just from growing up, I mean, listening to the doctor's very inspirational keynote address. I grew up here in Rockland County, but there's poverty in Rockland County. I was one of 9 kids. I was born in in the mid 60s. I'll be 60 this year, hard to believe it. But, with my parents were hard workers, but, we dealt with some illness with my mom. And I grew up poor, working poor up here in Rockland County. It was an interesting way to kind of grow up. I certainly know what it's like, to have not always have everything that you need. In fact, I have a memory burned into my mind coming home one day from elementary school in the third grade, and our electricity had been shut off. Um, and you kind of keep things like that with you. Unfortunately, my mom had gotten sick, and medical bills had piled up. Thankfully, my parents were able to keep going and dig out of it. But that type of adversity and that type of challenge as a young person, kind of stays with you. And it kind of has been something that I've, kind of kept in my own mind, because when you look at people, and it's been something that I think has always guided my own steps. You don't know what a person's going through, even here in Rockland County. Um, oftentimes, you may not understand what the person's background is, or wherever you might end up being. You'll find that people have all types of experiences, all types of backgrounds, and you really never know what their perspective they're coming from. So I think, when I look at my own career, my own life, the risk and the challenge, to be able to embrace, the difficulties that you encounter. I don't often talk about, that experience growing up. I've been in office as supervisor for 10 years up here. And I was a councilman, which was essentially a part-time position when I was working in not-for-profit for a portion of that time. I don't think I've ever really told that story that often, maybe once, to a group of people. I've shared it privately to individuals when I thought that it would be something that might help folks to be able to realize, hey, there's lots of experiences we have. You can either embrace them or run away from them.
George,
Then they can
I'm
drive.
sorry. George, I just wanted to say you making my life so much easier by answering the questions without me having to moderate. So thank you for being providing, just sharing your story, and that you're comfortable to do that in this space. So we really do
Right.
appreciate that.
So I want to be quick because I know we've got two other wonderful panelists. So as I thought about some of these questions, I really thought about this notion or this idea of how we embrace diversity. And it's funny. So I have multiple degrees. I went into the seminary before my career, and I have several master's degrees and several bachelor's degrees. And I remember one of my degrees is in philosophy when I was in the seminary. And one of the things that I remembered in taking philosophy was this whole notion of the Hegelian dialect. If you recall it, Hegel is a German philosopher, and he's the one that really came up with the notion of the idea of how people learn and how ideas come into existence. And it's the notion of the idea of thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. And oftentimes I think that's a good model for us to kind of look at as we're trying to embrace the reality of diversity. And maybe it shouldn't be thesis, antithesis. Maybe it's idea, different idea, or it's difference and different differences. And throughout my career, one of the things I found very successful for me is to really make sure that you're creating an environment where, as you're working with individuals or working with individuals, that you have the ability to be able to have them feel comfortable expressing themselves with their own differences. And I've seen this very clearly with working with people with disabilities throughout my life, throughout my career. In fact, it's funny. My wife will often tell me, even as supervisor, it seems like folks with disabilities just seek me out. And I think one of the things that I realized throughout my career is helping people feel comfortable whatever their abilities are. And that helps you to be able to embrace the diversity within any group. And I think that that's been something that I've also tried to emulate, and something that I've tried to do. Some of the best ideas that we've been able to implement in town government have come from some of the line staff in a passing conversation with me. Then we've had some significant success and some
Yeah.
significant change that we brought here. And then finally, I think just some other things that talking about success and how we empower people, and things that how we can try and help parents. I think that very clearly, just recently I reread a book that came out a few years ago. Very quick read. It was by this Admiral William McRaven, and he made national news, I guess, during the Obama administration. He was retiring from the Navy, and he spoke at the Naval Academy. He was a four-star admiral for their commencement address, and the advice he gave to the graduating cadets became the title of the book. And it was simply, he said, the greatest thing, if you want to be a successful person, the greatest thing that you can do uh, when you start your day is to make your bed, right? And the whole notion behind that is I've read a lot of books on management and everything else, but the reality is it's setting a clear goal, having clear expectation, and it could be as simple as just, I'm going to accomplish this task first thing in the morning. And that kind of sets your day and moves yourself forward.
Yeah. I
Uh,
love
so
it.
I'll,
Thank you, George.
I'll conclude with this. I think that in order to be successful, in order for us to continue to make sure that everybody has a seat at the table and an opportunity to be successful, we have to make sure that we ourselves are setting our own clear expectations for what we're looking to do. And whether that's making your bed, either metaphorically or in reality, I think it's something that we need to embrace, um, hold ourselves accountable, and also hold the people around us accountable for our own personal growth and for our own personal goals. So I don't want to take much more time. I'm happy to take any questions at the end, or how we're going to do this.
Thank you. We're
Thank
so
you.
grateful for your time, George. Thank you. And I'm going to introduce you to an amazing friend, Alex Cabrai. Him and I are we're in the same Leadership Rockland graduating class of 2018. Had the pleasure of meeting him and just collaborating in different capacities. So, Alex, if you want to just share a little bit about yourself, I did share the PowerPoint with your bio, but if you wanted to just give a little bit of information before I start with the questions.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Evelyn, very much. Tender steps for having me. I'm not gonna make it as easy as George did. I'm gonna make you work as a moderator.
Okay.
But I'm Alex Cabrera. My background, I'm Nyack born, raised. I'm first generation American. My parents are from Haiti. I went to Nyack school districts, graduated from Binghamton University with a business degree. And basically, I've been an entrepreneur ever since. I worked corporate America a little bit out of college. But for the past 20 plus years, I've been an entrepreneur. I've owned various restaurants, about 4 or 5 Planet Wings. We've done some real estate investing, flipping, and most recently, past 10 years, Success in Motion. I'm a partner and founder in Success in Motion, which we're an implementation, a wellness company, and consulting with New York City schools. So we do a lot of pouring into the educators that pour into the next generation. And that's my story.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Alex, we're going to jump right in.
Yeah.
What are some of the risks and challenges that you had to embrace to succeed in your career?
So I think just in general, just being first generation American, being married with kids, that's the struggle trying to be an entrepreneur itself. Just being an entrepreneur has all its uncertainties that comes with it. But for me, I think early on it was trying to figure out, well, first and foremost, it was kind of like growing up in a Haitian household. You were supposed to be a lawyer, doctor, or engineer, right? Or figure out a path of 30 years in the company and retire. So for my parents, it was kind of like seeing me leave a job, then leave another job a year, and then like tell them I'm just gonna go out and flip houses and then flip burgers at the restaurant that I'm owning. It was kind of hard for them, and they really didn't believe in it. It took years and years, like by then we were married, but it took years of success in buying another house or buying another business for them to finally buy into it. And the way a lot of Caribbeans, you feel probably parents in general actually, they brag. So they brag about your success. That's when you kind of know that they've come into it. So that was kind of the how that part worked. And then the financial part of it, leaving a paycheck behind and the uncertainty. But luckily for me, my wife was doing very well. She was very supportive, and you know,
Wonderful.
insurance came from that end. So
Thank you. Now, how can our community embrace diversity and create an inclusive environment for all families and young people?
so I think we all know like diversity is very important. And like when you have a diverse, whether it's workforce, diversity anywhere, it helps to succeed. It helps company growth. It helps people grow. It helps the community grow. And I think it's just fostering the atmosphere where people can have open dialogue, whether we agree on certain things or don't agree, but having that opportunity to feel like your voice is merited or whatever. And then having
Yeah.
representation, I think, in leadership. As I've grown up and like I've realized just modeling for generations and kids below you. Like I didn't grow up where I saw people that looked like me in high leadership, accountants, lawyers, those type of people weren't around us, right? So I think just having that model and just being cognizant of the representation and leadership and giving youth the voice and empowerment to kind of grow and grow. And I think that'll help the diversity in our communities.
We're moving to empower. You mentioned you're a parent. For those that don't know, how can parents encourage their children in their career paths? I know you mentioned your parents would have probably wanted you to be in the medical field or something like that, and you took all these risks. But as a parent, like, how do you support your children and what they would like to venture off
I'm I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I even struggle with it. Like my kids are
to?
21 and 25, right? So you have in your mind where you think or you want them to be, or you're for myself, it's like my wife and I are first generation Americans, and we're like, we had the struggle, we've made it, and like we've done very well. So like now you have the cheat code a little bit, and we want you to fly. But it's very hard because they have to kind of just find their passes. I'm just learning like, to just settle down and kind of let them find their path.
Okay,
And honestly, I just keep introducing them to folks that I know. So whether
right.
it's through
Exposure.
in other organizations and kind of just guiding them and just giving them that encouragement and trying to build their self-confidence a little bit more. But I think in general, for me, like if you instill hard work, resilience, and like flexibility and adaptability and some emotional intelligence in these kids, I think
Yes.
no matter where they end up, they'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. Now, the last is embody. Here we
Okay.
go. What are the key values or traits that you believe embody a successful person?
I think it's kind of the same things I just said. I just think it's hard. Like that's just how I grew up in my house with my parents. Like hard work, resilience, like just overcoming all those challenges. I've watched my parents, come from Haiti with nothing in their hands and make a life for us. We were poor. I don't know if I quite felt poor, but we were poor. But like
But you made it work.
yeah, we always had food. We had a house over our heads. So it's like hard work, resilience, being flexible, and being able to come over challenges. I think that will always help you succeed no matter which path you go or in which direction you go.
Thank you, Alex. So, Carrie Steindorf, public health education specialist, school coordinator, creating healthy schools and communities for the Department of Health in Rockland County. I've had the pleasure of working with Carrie for quite a few years as Tender Steps in New York's part of the committee of the School Coalition. So, Carrie, if you want to share a little bit about yourself even though, of course, I shared the bio and the PowerPoint, but before I ask your questions, I just want to give you maybe 1 or 2 minutes, please.
Sure. Thank you so much, Evelyn and Tender Steps. I'm delighted to be here this morning to speak with you. Um, Briefly about myself, I've been living in Rockland County 30 some years. I grew up on Long Island, born in Utah, so been around. I have a 40-year career in public health, addressing many, many different topics, but always with the lens of community education. And I've worked with children, youth, and adults in various settings, talking about a real wide variety of topics, including reproductive health, Lyme disease, heart disease, and now
Yeah.
school health and wellness, which is about physical activity and nutrition.
I love it. Thank you, Carrie. Now we're going to go on and break. Okay. How can a parent or young person find accurate health information?
Yes, that is so, so important. And I'm going to start with this message. First, you have to embrace yourself. Embrace your special, unique body, your physical body and mind, and take care of it. So that is the start. That is your motivation, and I'll repeat that message when we go through this
Okay.
conversation. But protecting your mind, protecting your body is the motivation. Finding accurate information is so important. We hear now so much about fake news, and that is so confusing for people. And it's just wrong to do that to people. As a public health educator, it's been so important to provide accurate information. My particular skill has been in taking complex health and medical information and making it understandable to an individual or to the public. So, finding the right sources, I can give you some very specific tips. Go to your doctor when you have a question, or go to a health clinic and ask a medical professional. They are required to give you accurate information. Be very careful about the sources you use from the internet. You want to look for organizations that end with a .edu,
Oh,
because that is an educational institution, or a .org, O-R-G. You want to be very suspicious about information coming from an organization .com. That means commercial.
okay.
And they may be influenced by their advertisers. And we want to avoid that. That influences and skews the information. So
That's so important, Carrie. Thank you. That is definitely good to know. We're going to move into empower,
yes.
as in motivate oneself. Okay. How can individuals empower and motivate themselves to make healthier choices?
We go back to embrace your one and only special you. You are the one who must make the choice to protect your body and your mind. And you can protect your body and mind in the moment, but you can also protect yourself through prevention, right? You want to make sure that you are doing the very basic activities that protect your health. So, prevention, as a public health professional, prevention is key. When you prevent the problem, you don't have to deal with it. And I'm going to point out a couple of very specific strategies that you can use starting today. One is to exercise most days of the week. In fact, let's be real, you should be exercising every day. I'm going to ask you all to please stand, because we've been sitting for an hour and that is the worst thing you can do. So stand and stretch. Just move your body. If for some reason you are bound to a chair, lift yourself up, move and stretch, twist a little bit. You want to move your body every 20 minutes. Sitting is the new smoking. It is terrible for your heart. So get moving. Um, Children and teens need a minimum of 60 minutes of movement every day, and that can be taken in 10-minute segments. I advise and adults at least 30 minutes, and that can be cleaning the house, it can be doing yard work, it could be on your job, it could be walking to the bus and back. Any kind of movement is good for your body, and be mindful of what you eat. Now, sometimes we don't have as much control over our diet as we would like, but you want to shoot for fruits and vegetables, whole grains, rice, beans, potatoes. Food in their natural state would be having more nutrition than food in bags and boxes.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
do the best you can on that. And I just want to make one more point, in terms of prevention. Vaccines are critical for preventing the spread of very dangerous diseases that we might say, oh, it's natural, like chickenpox or measles. But the reasons we have vaccines for diseases is because those diseases can cause injury and sometimes death. So you want to prevent those things from happening. Get the adult and childhood vaccines that are recommended by your doctor.
Thank you. Now, this will go into embody. I know we're talking about um, how one feels themselves. Now, as in take actions that are reasonable, how can individuals combine health information and their life circumstances to make reasonable choices for themselves and their family's health?
Yes, that's what we have to do, right? I mean, look at the laws or policies, systems, environmental support. Sometimes they're not making the healthy choice the easy choice. So we have to work within our environment. I'm going to go back to exercise, find opportunities to move, be mindful of what you put into your body, avoid the things that are dangerous, like alcohol, drugs, etc., right? Put the good foods in, foods and beverages. For students, for nutrition, I recommend that you take advantage of the nutrition resources at school. The breakfast and lunch that are being offered are balanced. They are required by law to be nutrient dense. There's a lot of school food gets a bad rap, but it is actually very healthy. It has more whole grain than a lot of the foods that are purchased in the stores. So take advantage of that. Eat the breakfast, eat the lunch, drink the milk, eat the apples, do what is best for your body in nutrition. For physical activity, as I mentioned, take advantage of all opportunities to move your body. For students, while you're studying, for high school students, you could probably go about 20 minutes, but hey, as soon as you start to lose concentration, stand up and move your body vigorously for 2 minutes. That stimulates your brain. We think physical activity does only good things for your body, but primarily physical activity supports brain function, and it helps you concentrate and improves your memory. So whenever you start to wander or you get bored, stand up, run in
Wow.
place, stretch your body, and then get back to studying. You're going to find it's going to help you with your grades, with your focus.
Carrie, that is so important because just the fact that I honestly didn't realize how long we were sitting here, right, on the screen. So just the fact of pausing and taking that moment. Thank you so much for
Yeah, it felt
your
good, didn't it?
expertise. It did feel good. Thank you. I hope everybody else got a little feeling good moment. I want to say thank you for supporting our mission. Of course, this is different than in person. Every year we do it in person at the Rockland Community College. We definitely had to change gear, but I'm still grateful and for all your support. And as we continue to have certain clips available for those that were not able to be present, but I want to say grateful. And we have a gift that we're going to give you. You can't see because I have like a background, but we have some certificates that we received from the Rockland County legislator. They gave us certificates for our panelists as well as our workshop presenters. We also have certificate from the county executive, Ed Day. We have certificates for those participants. And also we have Dr. Santiago, the other certificates that we have.
Oh, yes, Town of Clarkstown and Town of Haverstraw were so kind to give us proclamations as
Yes.
well as certificates for all our presenters and our donors. So thank you very much.
And just one more thing I need to share is that usually for the Parent and Youth Conference, when we've had it in person, we would provide Goya products as well as clothing. What we're going to do is we have a date set for the 29th of March that we will have available from 10 to 12 at the Martin Luther King Center. We'll have clothes that we have for donations, as well as Goya products that we'll give to attendees. Rockland Bakery donated breakfast muffins and bagels. We'll pick it up that morning for those who would like to stop by for any of those items. Neo, I would like Carrie to please share that resource with us, because we may not need it, but we know someone that may need it. So Carrie, you can briefly share that. I know that you shared it in the chat box, but if you can give that information.
I'd be happy to. Yes, as I started to say, I work with many wonderful colleagues running really special programs here in Rockland County. And one is called the Children and Youth with Special Healthcare Needs Network. And I've put the phone number in the chat. My colleague Nancy Haggerty runs that program. And if there is anyone in the county who needs to find the services for themselves or their it's actually for children and youth. So it's primarily for families to reach out and find what are the services my child needs. Where can I find that? And it could be a wide range. Do you need Medicaid to cover your services? She can help you find that. Do I need therapy? Do I need
Dynamic.
a wide variety? She has just a wide range of information. So I leave that information in the chat for families with children
Thank
with
you.
special needs. And I
We
leave
really
also the
appreciate it.
information on immunizations. Yes, you can go to your doctor and pediatrician, but for those families that might not have that direct healthcare provider, they can still get their immunizations through the Rockland County Department of Health.
If they reside in Rockland County, right, Carrie? I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I honestly, I wouldn't even put that barrier up. I think if they don't,
they can call and
find out. And you know what? I just see I made a mistake on the phone number.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. The font is
that's
so
okay.
little on my computer. Let me try that
What's
again.
the number? I'll do it for you if you tell me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm actually in the middle of doing it. So it's 36845.
Okay. I got it.
364. It's 364. I see that I wrote
Okay.
it too. And that is the mistake. 2520 or 2524.
Thank you. I just put in the chat box.
Mistake.
It's okay. We appreciate this resource. So at this time, George, did you want to say anything, or Alex, before Dr. Rudecindo goes with her workshop? Are you all set?
Nope, no, I'm all set.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Okay. We appreciate you.